So, hey, I'm Laura with the BBC, and today we are, of course, talking Elden Ring and Nightreign. The new game in the series is out, so who better to discuss it with and the franchise with two streamers who are pretty synonymous with the games. In fact, they've made massive streaming careers from them. So, guys, hello, introduce yourselves.
Oh, I'm MissMikka. I'm a streamer. I'm basically do a lot of challenge runs, especially in Elden Ring. But to be honest, I play pretty much everything. In Elden Ring, I've done a lot of dance pad challenges. I guess that's what's garnered me most attention on stream. I've also done runs, various different challenges where I'm playing in different ways, and I have about 2,000 hours in Elden Ring now, so a lot of experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Perri. I think what's garnered me most attention is my mind control runs of Elden Ring. It was the first game I've ever played with mind control properly, and so that's been very, very fun. I do a lot of tech projects, so I do the mind control things, but I'm running a 3D live stream right now and a bunch of other stuff, controlling drones with my mind and things like that, and that's what I do. That's what I really like, and that's me.
Before we get into sort of Nightreign and Elden Ring in general, what were you both doing before you were streaming Elden Ring? Because obviously you were playing games, you were streaming. Had you both played many From Software games before?
So I've played FromSoftware games ever since I started streaming about 10 years ago. I focused a lot back then on a variety of games like I do now, but I did a lot of Dark Souls 3 challenge runs, playing the game level 1
Yeah.
and stuff like that. For me, it's always been about challenging myself. So I never take any shortcuts, like using like OP weapons or spirit ashes and stuff like that, and magic ranged. So I always been focused on having this approach of having a challenge where I'm a character with a sword and I'm hitting, maybe without armor, who knows?
I am actually quite new to gaming, relatively speaking. I was at uni when I first started streaming, so I was a big nerd and I was into the research, or I was into research and things like that. So I started doing these psychology education streams. And the reason I actually got into gaming was because of these projects. So I found an EEG. I was studying neuroscience, so I knew all about it, which was a big advantage. And I found this EEG, and I thought it could make a really good addition to horror games or things like that, or just on stream showing my brain activity. And then it sort of all spiraled out of control there. And honestly, the first game properly that I really got into and finished was Elden Ring. So I'm quite new. It's only been a couple of years,
Wow.
which is why I'm probably not as skilled at the game, but hopefully I'm skilled at the tech, and that makes up
Oh
for
yeah.
it.
I mean, you've played it with your mind, so I think you are fairly skilled with it, it's safe to
I
say.
think I think playing with stuff like that, and I'm sure Mika knows this as well, playing with the challenge run is kind of like running uphill with rocks on your back, and you get good at the game very quickly normally.
Let's talk a bit, each about you. You had, like you've both said, you've had these very unique approaches to streaming these games. Mika, you beat it on a dance pad. You did it, one-handed. And PerriKaryal, I want to talk a bit as you've been mentioning about the fact that you went one step further. You beat it with your mind. For people hearing this and not knowing about how that even works, how is that possible? How did you manage to do that?
So it was a snowball, really, because I had been doing neuroscience at uni. I knew quite a lot about EEG, but I didn't know that you could just get one for yourself, like a consumer grade little
And
Bluetooth
explain
charging
what
one.
that is if people don't know what that is. EEG.
So an EEG is an electroencephalogram, and basically what it does is it just picks up your brain waves. So your brain emits loads of electromagnetic activity, and it just reads that, picks it up, and can tell the frequency of it and where it's coming from. And what it does in terms of the mind control is it gets kind of a holistic overview of what your brain looks like when you're imagining something specific. So that's how it works. I'll picture something specific for 10 seconds at a time, like a plate spinning or whatever it is. It'll record what my brain looks like when I'm doing that, do that hundreds of times, and eventually it can recognize it. And then when a software can recognize something, you can key bind it. So I think spin a plate and it will press a button on a virtual Xbox controller, and then do that a couple times and you've got enough to play a game with.
What was the challenge in doing that then for Elden Ring? I imagine it was quite difficult.
Oh gosh. Well, actually, weirdly, Dark Souls games are some of the easiest games to play with mind control because the challenge for mind control comes from the like hundreds of hours I have in actually training it up and making it work. And the more commands you add, the more difficult it is because they're trying to tell the difference between them. And with Elden Ring, with any game really, you need more than one button usually to be able to play it. So all games are really, really tricky. Games that rely on aim, like FPS games, are really tricky. But Dark Souls games are a little easier because when you're in a boss fight, you can lock on to the boss. And then you don't have to worry about aim or anything like that. You can just dodge around and you can hit them when you want to. But one of the big challenges is that I'm on a 1 second delay. And it's biological, so I have to actually think of the thing and my brain actually has to change and then get matched and all of that stuff. So I have a 1 second delay. It's not reliable because if I'm not calm, it doesn't recognize the pattern, my pattern changes. And then it's very, very hard to time moves. So I basically have no timing at all, which is not good for a Souls game. But it's possible. It's possible.
I would say also for like dance pads, like Elden Ring is definitely, or Souls games in general, especially like Dark Souls is even easier to play on like a dance pad because it does require fewer buttons than most. Most games you have to use your mouse to look around and stuff, and you don't really do that or you don't have to do that in Elden Ring. And there's also for dance pad, there's 10 buttons, and one of those buttons is dedicated to the camera. It doesn't move the camera, but it centers the camera. So there's a button in Elden Ring to target, and that button also centers the camera. So in that way, I can run around and always recenter the camera so I can see where I'm going.
How did you prepare for some of your big challenge runs then? Because like you've said, you've done lots of different things. You've done some of the more, extreme ones like the dance map one, but you've done all the difficulties as well. How did you come up with them, and also how did you prepare for them?
Coming up with them was just an attempt for me as a big fan of Souls games to extend the life cycle of it, so to say.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much fun for my viewers to watch me beat the same game over and over. But I really wanted to do that. So I came up with different challenges. Some are from suggestions from chat. I had people with certain disabilities as well, who are expressing like how they play games, and that gave me inspirations to try different challenges and also show that it's possible to play with like differences in like physical differences, so to say. For example, one hand. I also did a run with one finger, which was painful for the finger. And that just essentially means the only thing I'm touching the controller with is the finger, and I completely remade how the controller works, but it's still just one finger for the whole playthrough, so to say.
It's fair to say, obviously, both of you, because of these like amazing challenges, you went pretty viral for your streams. And what was the moment for both of you when you were like, okay, this is actually getting pretty big now? And I suppose how did the playing the game, the original game, for the first instance, change your kind of careers and your lives?
I would say probably I shared my journey on Twitter, right? On, well, X, I suppose you say now. I had Jake Lucky, he spreads like gaming news on Twitter. He shared my content and people seemed really into it. And that's kind of where it started. Because, yeah, I could share it myself, but I didn't have the outreach. When I started playing Elden Ring, before I started playing Elden Ring, I had about 500 average viewers. And after, I had about 1,000 from just playing Elden Ring. And it grew quite a lot from there because of the challenge runs I was doing. So I did like level 1, and I did one-handed, and I did one-handed level 1. And each time I was posting about it, and it was getting shared. So I feel like when Jake was sharing my story, that's when it really started hitting off. And then I could share my own stories like after that, and it would get the same kind of attention that Jake's stories got. So that's kind of when I realized like, wow, this is really putting a fire under on the streams or under the stream, so to say. So
Jake as well, interestingly. So yeah, I started doing the mind control stuff, and Jake, lucky, found it somehow. I think someone sent him, I have no idea. And he posted about it. And then I think at the time I had maybe 50 average viewers, and it octupled basically overnight, which was pretty insane. And the game, I mean, even just beyond that, like Mika says, it's gets your name out there. But even just beyond that, the game itself was so influential for my entire career. It being the first game that I really got into and used to demonstrate how cool the mind control could be, was really, really, really useful. And I think because of how difficult the game is, but also how the community lends itself so well to creativity from lots of different people. Everyone is doing something different, and it's such a friendly place that's kind of the design of the game that really provided a really good basis for me to be able to springboard off it. So that was very, very, very cool. And there were clips, I mean, this was this year, there were clips of me beating the DLC with mind control, and those were played when I got nominated for a streamer award. So it kind of, even a year or two later, it's still something that's really important to me and really special, which means the game will always have like a really warm place in my heart forever, I think. And also, just on a personal note, the game kind of opened my mind to lots of different genres that I could be good at, and games that I didn't think that I could be good at games, or that there were lots of genres, especially kind of scary ones when you're new, that I would enjoy. And it made me super, like, way more open to challenges. So now I can do lots of different things in lots of different places and be I'll have a little bit less trepidation about it.
And let's talk a bit about Nightreign now, because obviously it is quite a different kind of game to the rest of the series and the FromSoft games, really, with it being multiplayer. What was your reaction when they first announced that element of it? Do you think, is that going to lessen that challenge that you're talking about?
So I definitely think there is, like, when I first heard about the multiplayer aspect, I wasn't thrilled. I think most people can agree, like at least huge FromSoftware fans, because we're not typically the co-op players, not all of us anyways. But I think they've done it in a way where it's like really really a good, like, it doesn't feel like a competition, it's something you do together, you work together. And I always feel like FromSoftware has been on that like side, like it's not about how many times you die. It's not about how many times you fail. It's just about getting there. Like, it's just about working together, or in this case, working together, and like doing your best, no matter how much practice it takes. And yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm excited about it for sure. I've already played quite a bit as well. But yeah, I think that generally people seem kind of mixed about it because of the online features. But I think it's going to be like, I already know it's a good game, so I'm excited to see all the bosses that we haven't seen yet and stuff.
I think they did a really, really good job of balancing the independence that we like from Dark Souls game, but also I think a lot of people, or some people, really wanted the ability to play with their friends at some point. Like the seamless co-op mod, for example, got so much attention. So I personally am very, very glad about that, but I'm not necessarily a what's the word? Can't think of it. The die hard or whatever. But
hardcore, maybe?
Hardcore, yes, thank you. But I think it kind of feels like a totally new genre, like completely something I've never seen. It's, what were people joking about? That it was a Dark Souls Fortnite or something like that. It's a completely new thing, and I'm really excited for it. And I think they've taken a lot of elements that were very, very cool in the game, and they've gone a step further with them. Like the day-night system was usually just kind of complimentary or a cool thing. You could get an extra boss here and there and stuff like that. But now they've really fleshed that out, which I think is really beautiful. And the class systems are so different from anything I've seen before that it's really exciting.
Yeah, I've been talking about it before actually yesterday on stream. People were trying to label Nightreign, and it was really hard to put like a genre on it. People were saying roguelike, but then I was like, yeah, but this and that, like that doesn't really line up. If you just say it's a roguelite, People are gonna be confused. They're not gonna get the full concept of it. Like, yeah, okay, it's an RPG, action RPG online. So no, it's not really an RPG anymore, I guess, because they removed the whole build your own character thing. Now it's classes. And like, I don't know if it has enough RPG elements either. So it's like it's definitely its own thing.
I guess an important question for both of you. First of all, Mika, will you be playing Nightreign on a dance mat, or what are your challenge plans for that? And then Perri, will you be playing it with your mind?
So I feel like the problem is if I'm playing online, the challenge is going to go away a bit because I can always rely on people who I'm playing with. It's definitely a faster pace Nightreign. It does have like a go, 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 go kind of mentality to it. Um, I would definitely want to try it for sure, but I think I probably do it solo, which is going to be really challenging. Because if you do, I feel like if I do it online, it's just completely going to take away the challenge from because I can rely on the other people, like I said. So there, for me, I have to do a lot of consideration there. But I mean, people always said maybe I should try playing co-op with myself, you know, two PCs,
Ooh.
one with controller, one with dance pad. That would probably be chaotic, especially given the difficulty of Nightreign. It is quite hard. Um, so yeah, we'll see.
It doesn't sound like that would make it easier. Oh my
No,
gosh.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I will definitely be doing it with mind control, but it's the same thing. It's gonna be very interesting balancing other people kind of doing a save the queen sort of thing or defend the king sort of thing, which does take away from the challenge of it. But at the same time, because it's so much faster and there's more pressure and it's you only got one shot really to get to the end, it's going to be very, very, very tricky. And I'm very excited because I haven't really done anything like that with mind control before. I've done things where there's pressure, so you've got FPS games or Only Up or something like that. I've done things where in the moment you have to make good choices and you don't have a lot of time to think about it. But usually I like to take my time, and with FPS you can go and you can snipe from a corner somewhere, or you can, heaven forbid, camp somewhere else and it's okay. But this will be very, very different. And I already feel a bit anxious about being slower than my teammates and getting yelled at. But it's FromSoftware, so no one's toxic from what I've seen. Maybe they are. I ignore it.
And we've got to quickly talk about the Elden Ring movie that's just been announced by A24. I mean, reactions to that, I'll be honest, when I heard it, I was thinking, how on earth are they going to get this story into a film and coherently? But what do you think about it? What are your reactions to that, Perri?
I've seen so many memes about expectations from it, about people going in and being expected to solve a riddle or do an emote before they go into the into the cinema, or having to climb into a coffin or something like that. I thought it was a joke at first and then a rumor, and I'm really glad that it's a real thing because then I mean, I understand the story now, but it took a long time to get there. It's very cryptic a lot of the time if you're not Googling things or exploring every little bit of the map. So I'm excited to finally understand it properly. And I think the world of Elden Ring is so beautiful, the design and the music, and that's something I really love about it. It's just gorgeous. Even if you don't like that sort of game, you can appreciate. So I think if they can put that into live action and into the art style of the film, I think it has the potential to be very, very cool. And the director has done so many amazing things that I have high expectations.
To be honest, for me, I just hope that it keeps the mystery of the FromSoftware storytelling, because like Perri said, it is very hard to grasp. And being very into the lore myself, there's still things that I don't understand even after years of looking into and like reading item descriptions and watching, like scouring cutscenes and watching YouTube videos, like trying to explain or reason with the story. But I hope that first of all, I hope that it's gonna tell the story before Elden Ring, so not like it's gonna tell the lore, hopefully. So maybe even before the Shattering, maybe like Marika's journey or something like that. That'd be cool. I don't think there's as much, like, we'll see. Maybe they can do it in a cool way, but I really hope it's focused on the lore because there's so much there to explore, and there's so many different characters that are really interesting and that could really make some good cinema.
I think there's a trap often when you make films or TV shows out of games that they're balancing wanting to do a lot of fan service and make a lot of money and then make something actually very, very good. And I think you're completely right. Like the whole mystery of it is a big part of the genre. So it needs to be symbolic and it needs to have lots and lots of layers. And I'm hopeful that that's how it will be as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been great to really talk to you and get into the games. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing you both give Nightreign a go and what all your next really interesting challenges are going to be. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
you
you
very
so
much for
much.
having us. Yeah, it was a pleasure.